As the days grow colder, the nights longer, and the winds stronger, the creatures of the winter season begin to arrive. Whether looking for naughty children, good children, or just having an overall presence of malevolence, these urban legends have permeated cultures across the globe. So grab your hot chocolate, wrap yourself in a warm blanket, and join us today as we discuss the urban legends of Christmas in the winter season. All right, everyone, welcome back to
Unknown,
Unsolved,
Unseen.
Triple U.
Woohoo! It's Merry Chrysler Week.
Yes, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate, Happy Holidays. If you celebrate something else.
Merry Crisis.
That is where I feel I'm at right
Oh,
now.
I thought say that's where I'm at all the time.
Yeah, always in a crisis, but, you know, in this time of season, it's just merry.
Yeah.
But still a crisis.
So this is our first one. Well, sorry, I don't know why I said first one. This is our last episode before Christmas time. So jingle jangle. I am your holly jolly host, Frank.
I am your very cold host, Sage. It's
warm
it's
up.
cold. And earlier I was wrapped in like 4 blankets and a heated blanket, so.
Yeah, and then we got our boy here, Atlas, who, in case anybody didn't know, he lost his testicle privileges this week.
That's such a weird way to put it.
He's now sleeping in the corner of the couch, so he's on the couch with us. But he got neutered, so he has been a wild monstrosity.
Yeah, he has way too much energy and doesn't realize that he's got to rest, but he's passed out now, so.
Yeah, we've had to also lower the amount of anti-anxieties he gets to try and like calm him down, because he has been having some side effects to him after so many.
Yeah, but he's doing good now, so.
Yeah, so the only announcement I got today real quick is to go check out our friends at whatever podcast plays after this. Just giving our friends a shout out.
Maple syrup and being polite. I'm Valerie, host of Canadian Creepies, the podcast that digs up stories polite history would rather forget. Cold cases that never found justice, haunted places that refuse to stay quiet, and folklore with a dark side you've probably never heard. If true crime, paranormal mysteries, and unsettling Canadian history are your thing, you'll want to tune in. New episodes every week wherever you get your podcasts. Canadian Creepies, exploring and exposing the shadows of the true north.
All right, thank you for listening to that. And I will let Sage get into her jingle jangle, holly jolly, jingle bells all the way, snowman time.
What I can tell you is that a lot of these urban legends are not jingle jangle jolly. Some of them, they're some pretty interesting things. I knew about most of them.
Are we talking about a certain group of people? It's like that thing I showed you from Smiling Friends.
Well, okay.
I don't know. That one I don't think landed as well.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you remember that thing I showed you where they're having their Christmas dinner and that big guy narrator is like, you know, it's all good. You know, this is a great time of year except for a certain group of people. You know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Never mind. I showed you. You actually found it quite kind of funny.
My brain isn't there right now.
Fair enough.
So, so basically what I'm going to do today, which is going to be a little bit different of a setup than, you know, we've done, or I've done before at the very least, is I'm just going to go through a couple of the urban legends that exist at this time of year across a couple of different cultures. A lot of these I had already heard of, or at least knew a little bit about.
Can I just correct one thing on what you said?
Yeah.
Urban legends and folkloric tales.
Yeah, I do say it's folkloric.
Did you say that already?
No, but I
Okay.
do say that in
I just want to make sure, because urban legends and folkloric tradition are two different things. Sure, there's some intersection on some things, but I'm pretty sure what you're talking about today ends up falling more in folkloric tradition. And just because it's like an actual cultural thing, I don't want to offend.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
I do talk about it being part of the folklore.
I definitely assumed you did later, but I just didn't want to start off with that in case there's somebody who is part of said culture.
Understandable.
So, sorry, not trying to interrupt and mansplain, but
No, I got you. Thank you.
I gotcha. I just want to be as unoffensive as possible.
So the first one that I'm going to talk about, and I would argue this is probably one of the most famous of any of these, is Krampus. What do you know about Krampus?
Well, I learned from a Grimly podcast episode the other week that what do you know what the plural of a Krampus is?
Actually, I don't think I do.
I don't know if there actually is, because
Is it
it's more of a
Krampi?
title. They call it Krampussies.
I hate that. That's
I
funny.
would have thought it was Krampi.
That's what I thought. So Krampus.
Real quick, I don't tell you what I know. Basically, anti-Santa. He kidnaps kids, put them in a sack, beats the kids, I guess. Or I think it might be Belschnickel who beats the kids for him.
They all do.
But he got a wicked tongue, goat feet, horns.
Yeah. So Krampus.
Show me what that tongue do, Krampus.
Okay. Krampus is a horned anthropomorphic figure who, in the central and eastern alpine folkloric tradition, is the devilish companion of St. Nicholas, or Santa. He accompanies St. Nicholas on his visits to children during the night of December 5th, which is also named Krampusnacht or Krampus Night. This is German. All sources refer to Krampus as a he. I'm going to do that as well. I didn't really see anywhere where there was a she.
I definitely think Krampus is almost always a he.
Yeah.
And I think there's only one, so there's not Krampussies out there.
No. He's described as half goat, half demon, depicted as a man. He has massive horns with one nasty human foot and 1 foot of a goat, which has to be very uncomfortable to try to walk on.
I didn't realize it was 2 different feet, because it's very often depicted as 2 goat feet.
Yeah, it's 2 different feet. It's supposed to be that, like, he's half goat, half man, and, like, he can't get away from either side of those things, but it's, like, more down the center than it is.
But, like, satyrs and fawns only have to have the bottom half be goat, not, like, split down the center on their bottom half.
I don't know.
Where does that split end? Like, do you know where I'm going with this question?
Do they have half a goat dick and half a human dick?
Yes.
Maybe. Or they just have 2.
Okay. Whoa. Is that how they make multiple Krampuses?
Krampussies.
Krampies? Oh, I feel like Krampi sounds just as naughty.
No, they could, if they have 2, they could have 2 Krampussies at once.
No way is it, like, can you say Krampus in plural form without making it sound dirty, like Krampuses, Krampi, Krampussies?
That sounds like cream pie.
Exactly, that's what I thought when I
This is
said
terrible.
it.
I'm so sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this.
This derailed really fast
Yes,
into
so-
tomfoolery.
So he's depicted typically as being covered in black hair and has a very long snake or dragon-like tongue.
I told you it was a long tongue.
Yeah, so the...
Damn,
it's-
Krampus with all these dirty names, also with a long tongue. I mean,
So it's
the
split.
jokes write themselves.
Yeah, it's split down the middle. He's also often depicted with fangs. So he's got, like, you know...
Ooh,
All
you
of
don't
it.
want to get nibbled by him.
Probably not. So the origin of Krampus is unclear, but some folklorists and anthropologists have postulated that it may have pre-Christian origins.
Like pagan.
Yeah, so although historians generally consider this unlikely, as there's not really a record of it until the 16th century.
Oh, interesting. That's a lot more recent than I would have thought.
Yeah, and he actually shows up prior to the Tales of St. Nicholas, which are 17th century.
Wow, he is... It's like a prequel.
Yeah. In the 17th century, Krampus became paired with St. Nicholas as his companion, and his helper. So since St. Nicholas was, a saint, it was deemed inappropriate and not saint-like behavior for him to perform the punishments on children who were naughty. And so, therefore, among many cultures, a helper was assigned to St. Nicholas to perform said punishments.
God, so he's like, I'm a good old saint, good old Christian boy. Hey, you there, you're going to be my partner, and you're not going to be a good person. I'm going to tolerate you, but you're going to actually have to be hated by people and sinning constantly. But I'll work with you.
Pretty much. So these consisted of a few other companions as well that are in folklore tradition. These are farmhand Rupert, Schmutzeli, Père Fouettard, and Zwart Piet.
Whoa. Go back to?
It's Fouettard. Fouettard. I'm not saying the word.
I know you're not saying the word, but it sounds so much like it. Like, what are these names?
And it's either...
Also, what was the first one, too?
Farmhand Rupert.
Farmhand Rupert. You know what? I appreciate the farmhand part of it.
And the last was...
Not just Rupert, farmhand Rupert.
Zwart Piet or Piet, depending on if it's French. But I'm not sure its origin.
Sacre bleu.
So these, companions would take care of the punishment for naughty children, like of the naughty children, and Krampus served the same role as those companions as well. He's depicted as carrying around a set of chains, whom some say is thought to symbolize the binding of the devil by the Christian church.
Whoa, binding? Chains? I mean, this shit still writes itself for him.
To scare children further, maybe in an attempt to get them to behave moving forward, he thrashes these chains around for a dramatic and frightening effect. The chains are often depicted with bells of various sizes, but I'm not necessarily sure why. I just something that people added. What he is said to use the most for punishment, however, is the bundle of birch branches that he carries with him and uses to beat the children who are naughty.
I really hope our heater is not getting picked up on this, but if it is, sorry, gang. It's cold as fuck here.
Yeah. The birch branches are sometimes replaced with a whip in some representations of Krampus, but gotta be honest, either one of those is probably terrifying.
Yeah, have you ever seen somebody get hit by the birch branches? They did it in The Office.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks just as bad as getting hit by a whip.
I'm sure it does. Aren't birch branches really bendy? So they get a lot of momentum.
Yep.
So as I mentioned earlier, Krampus specifically accompanies St. Nicholas on the night of December 5th, which is the eve before the feast of St. Nicholas, or the 6th of December. I also read in one source that he does sometimes come alone as well, so without St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas uses this night to give gifts out to the good children, whereas Krampus is there for the bad children. He usually carries a sack or a basket strapped to his back, which he uses to take away naughty children, where he either drowns them, eats them, or transports them to hell/his lair for ominous punishments. He's also responsible for giving out the coal that children get if they're bad, not Santa, who's usually the one that is stated as doing so.
I think I figured it out. Why they had put out the Epstein list recently, and it's all redacted. It's because Krampus is in the Epstein list. No way somebody who kidnaps kids and takes them to his lair and beats them is not on the Epstein list.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Do you think he's on the list?
Also, fuck the US government for all of that shit. We're not going to go in detail, but fuck them. There were already established pagan traditions in the Alpine regions that became intertwined with Catholicism. People would masquerade as a devilish figure known as Perched, a two-legged humanoid goat with a giraffe-like neck, wearing animal furs. This is actually a concept that I will talk about in a little bit. It's another folkloric individual.
Or are you talking about Perched already?
No, its relation to Krampus. So these Perched or Perchten are sometimes represented as females, where again Krampus is almost exclusively male represented, but people would wear costumes and marched in processions known as Perchtenlaufen, which are regarded as an earlier form of what is called the Krampus Run. So Krampus Runs, or Krampuslauf, is a traditional holiday event in Central Europe where people dressed as the horned demonic Krampus parade through towns, often scaring spectators, sometimes chasing them, and playfully hitting them with birch branches. The event is a modern, festive interpretation of an ancient folktale, blending Christmas tradition with the thrilling, sometimes scary. During these runs, it's customary to offer Krampus some kind of schnapps, which is like a fruit brandy. We know that very well.
Yeah, it makes peach schnapps and drinks very good, very bueno. Give me more of it.
Yeah. So make sure, give it to him.
I bet he would love it mixed with some, what is it? Crap. What is it that we put in to make butterbeer?
Cream soda?
Cream soda with peach schnapps.
Nope. Scotch schnapps.
Sorry, butterscotch schnapps. Never mind, that's better. Butterscotch schnapps plus some, cream soda. Give that to Krampus. I bet he'd love it.
And vanilla vodka.
Oh, and vanilla vodka. Give that to Krampus. I bet he'd love it.
Yeah.
Make some really good alcoholic butterbeer. Where the beer is truly alcoholic.
Yeah. A little bit
Not
of
some weak ass shit that
butterscotch
Harry
syrup on top is delicious.
that Harry Potter idiot drinks.
Europeans have been exchanging greeting cards featuring Krampus on it since the 19th century. Sometimes introduced with I don't know how to say this. It's I'm gonna pronounce so many things wrong because a lot of this is coming from German. I did take German for 2 years. That was in middle school, which was quite a long time ago. So I can't say that I remember how to pronounce anything. But anyway, Grüß vom Krampus, which means greetings from Krampus. The cards usually have humorous rhymes and poems on them, kind of as, I guess, like a joke of whether or not you're naughty. Krampus is often featured looming menacingly over children on them. He's also shown as having one human foot, one cloven hoof. And in some, you guessed it, Krampus has sexual overtones. He's pictured pursuing buxom women, which would mean women with large bosoms or large breasts.
He's a titty fucker.
I wouldn't go that far. Holy shit.
Am I wrong based on what you just said?
Well, we don't know what he does with them.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, the representation of Krampus in the cards has changed. Older versions have a more frightening Krampus, while modern versions have a cuter, more Cupid-like Krampus. So, not quite as scary as he would have been depicted in the olden times. I feel like that's common with a lot of different figures. Like when we look at old versions, like Easter Bunny, what he used to look like versus what they make him look like now.
Wait.
Have you ever seen like the old versions of Easter Bunny costumes?
Oh yeah, the creepier ones?
Yeah, it's kind of a situation like that.
I was so confused. I'm like, what do you need an older Easter Bunny? Easter Bunny's a bunny. You can't really change a fucking bunny.
You can change a bunny, unfortunately. So that concludes our little description of Krampus. Next, we have Gorilla. Is that how you say it?
I think it's Gorilla.
Gorilla?
No.
Gorilla is an Icelandic urban legend.
I didn't know that gorillas in Iceland.
Yeah. A folkloric individual who is a monstrous entity that lives in the wilderness of Iceland. The name Gorilla is first attested in medieval sources, meaning it first came out in medieval sources. However, the earliest unambiguous references to Gorilla's gender and her association with Christmas date only from the 17th century, which I will end up talking about in a bit. So, for the first couple of centuries where, like this folkloric being existed, there was no gender assigned, or it would like fluctuate. It was gender fluid, non-binary sometimes, you could say. And so it wasn't until the 17th century that it really started to come that they would depict Gorilla as a woman. The name...
if anyone's seen Legends of, I think it's Evantris, they do D&D, but I always remember there's one thing where they talk about gorilla of the woods, and then they say, there's a gorilla in the woods? There's a gorilla here? Who would win? One gorilla or 100 Krampuses?
So the name Gorilla appears in a list of names for like troll women in the Prose Edda, which was composed in the 13th century by Icelandic skald Snorri Sturluson. However, a list of Gorilla Haiti, meaning the Haiti for gorilla, which I'm assuming means name for gorilla, in one manuscript of the Prose Edda from the early 14th century gives various terms for foxes in association with Grulja. So there's like thought to be maybe, association with the Arctic fox. So it's possible that, she could either have a pet fox or part fox, but I didn't really read much more on the fox-like aspect of that.
Interesting.
In the 17th century poems of Grulja, she is represented as a hideous and greedy giantess who is a troll-like crone that wanders between human settlements. When at the settlements, she demands charity from those she encounters, often asking for this to be in the form of naughty children.
Oh, more children kidnapping.
Yep.
Epstein list again.
She usually comes down around Christmas time from her cave that's high up in the mountains. And some writings state that if she gets a hold of a naughty child, she will drag them back to her cave and toss them into her stew. Her pet is the Yule Cat, which I will end up talking about later.
Ooh, I've heard about this one.
Yeah. Several parallels to Grulja exist in the North Atlantic region. These are generally associated with like traditions where people would dress up as characters and go house to house during the Christmas season, which they call mumming and disguise traditions.
What?
It's basically like caroling, except you dress up as a character and go house to house. It's hypothesized that Grulja may once have been associated with similar disguise traditions in Iceland, although such practices have not survived to the present day. In newer tellings of her story, Grulja is described as an ogress, so female.
So that's a female ogre name.
Yeah, and so not...
that's what Fiona is. She's an ogress.
Yeah, so not necessarily a giantess, but an ogress. However, in depictions from earlier centuries, again, there's no mention of the gender for Grulja, and not all of the counterparts that are in other cultures or folklore are identified as female figures. So Grulja is part of the Icelandic culture, but has like similarities to other like folkloric creatures that are in other cultures, similar to how like Rome and Greece had the same gods, but they had different names.
Was Rome built in a day?
No, it was built brick by brick.
But you gotta climb higher to the top of the display.
Now it's gonna be stuck in my head. It's possible Grulja was originally depicted as a male monster rather than an ogress, but really, we're not sure. But in one 7th century poem about Grulja, which depicts her as wandering between farms in summer rather than at Christmas, she's depicted and described as a hermaphrodite.
Okay. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that.
Me either. Grulja is closely associated with Christmas folklore and younger traditions. And today, modern depictions of Grulja tend to focus more strongly on her role as the mother of the Yule lads. And the most monstrous aspects of her character and appearance are often minimized or toned down for younger audiences.
Okay, did you look into the Yule lads at all?
A little bit.
Did you look at their names?
I think I might have some of them written.
I'm pretty sure Grimley talked about them, and I think they have some fucking goofy ass names. Like the dwarves, but funnier.
Yeah. I can't remember at this exact second. The oldest source connecting Grulja with Christmas is a poem that was likely co-composed. And again, you're going to have to forgive me here for pronunciations. I don't speak Icelandic. By Reverend Guðmundur Erlendsson.
I said something I probably shouldn't have said.
What?
Yeah, well, the only thing I know about Scandinavian language, which I probably make the same joke next week, is from SpongeBob on Happy Leif Erikson Day. Hinga dinga durgan.
Okay.
That's how you pronounce it, all in my opinion. You just go hinga dinga durgan.
That's definitely mean.
Hey, SpongeBob did it.
So this is a poem likely co-composed by Reverend Guðmundur Erlendsson of Fell in, I'm not even going to try, but I will try. Slethulio? And his brother-in-law, Asgrimur Magnusson, who was a farmer and a amateur poet.
A farmer, like farmhand Rupert?
Maybe. This poem, Guðlokfai, there's a lot of accents on the letters, and where there's that thing where the A and the E are connected.
Okay, how do you pronounce that?
I have no idea.
Oh my god, because, spoiler, next week's topic is about Haunted Village, and the AE together is in the name of the village I'm talking about. I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it.
I don't know either, and I'm really, really sorry if I'm butchering all of it, which I know I am.
I have it so many times in my thing that I just started calling the place The Village after I talked about it the first time, and I'm like, I go and butcher so many words next week. If you think you're butchering this week, oh my goodness.
Frank, I haven't even gotten to where there's excess butchering.
When I talk about the spookers.
So this poem can be dated to about 1638 to 1644, somewhere within there. Several years after this, in 1648 to 1649, the Reverend Hallgrimr Pettersson composed a poem, The Lepa Lawak.
What's his last name?
Pettersson.
Oh, put him on Vancouver Canucks.
It's Petturson.
Oh, he'd be different. We already have 3 Petterssons on the Vancouver Canucks. Why not get a 4th Pettersson there?
In which Grullia's lazy and unpleasant husband, Lepaloy, makes his appearance and claims that Grullia was left bedridden after her journey to Sletleo. Again, I'm pronouncing this like a white-ass English person.
Sage had to interrupt because, I went up to my mic and I just, blank face. I'm like, I don't know what I say to that. Besides, I can definitely tell you said it wrong.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. For a little bit of popular culture, in the Netflix show Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Grullia, who is portrayed by Heather Dorkson in Part 1 and Part 3, and Samantha Coughlin in Part 4, is a reoccurring character, appearing at first to collect her children who are invisible but causing havoc.
I'm just going to assume we're talking about the adventures of Sabrina Carpenter.
Later on, she joins the main character's coven of outcast witches. Grullia appears as a key character in the 2024 Christmas action comedy film Red One, portrayed by...
I'm pretty sure Krampus was also a big part in that. He's a slap fight with The Rock.
She was portrayed by Kiernan Shipka, who coincidentally portrayed the titular Sabrina in the aforementioned TV series. Interesting. While her ogre form is voiced by Morla Gorondona. Krampus. I didn't really go into pop culture for him. Don't remember why. But there's a ton of movies around. Didn't a couple years ago, a Krampus movie came out?
There's a Krampus movie, 6, 7, no, I think it was probably 9 years ago. I remember I saw it with Billy.
There's the one that's with the guy from Ozark.
I think that might be it. I don't know. There's also, let's see, he's been in the Venture Bros. He's been right now in Phasmophobia during the Winter Jest event. All the ghosts on Christmas maps are replaced with Krampus. And you gotta deliver stuff to the naughty and nice list to fulfill Krampus's needs. You put one wrong item in, you get coal. If you put in everything right, you get either extra equipment for your ghost hunt, maybe a cookie that will restore half your sanity, or a snowball gun. And I've not gotten the snowball gun yet.
I'm glad that you know the pop culture for Krampus.
Oh, there's more. There's so much. There are skins for him in so many games. Probably Call of Duty. I know Smite has it. I bet there's probably about a dozen games, maybe more, that have Krampus related things. He's really grown in popularity over the past couple years. He's been in An American Dad. I don't know what else, but I could probably go on for hours on Krampus things. And there's also a bunch of Krampus Krampus markets throughout the world, whether it's England, continental Europe, even America has plenty of them. I mean, hell, there's one that was in Colombia, the same place that hosts the Albert Witch Day last year.
Oh, I don't feel like I remember that.
We didn't go, but I do know it happened.
That would make sense that we didn't. Just a few more things about Grullia. She's referred to as the Christmas Witch, and has a set of magical powers. That's in
I didn't know gorillas were magic.
She's also a shapeshifter that can take on her mythological ogre form or a human form.
How about a gorilla?
No.
How about a grill? A charcoal gorilla? A gas gorilla? Propane gorilla?
Grullia also appears in her self-titled episode of Hilda. I don't know what Hilda is.
I don't know either. Probably something with some woman named Hilda in it.
Probably. And in this, the Yule lads end up feeding her veggie soup instead of human soup.
Is that bad?
Maybe for her. I don't know if she can tell the difference or not. All right, so our next one is the Yule Cat. So the pet of Grulja.
Okay.
The Yule Cat is another Icelandic urban legend, folkloric, traditional creature. And again, is the vicious cat, a vicious cat who is the pet of Grulja. The Yule Cat, which I'm not going to try to pronounce in Icelandic. I didn't even write it out because it was very long and lots of letters.
Hingadingadurgan.
Is also called the Christmas cat. This, which sounds really sweet until you hear what.
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People, not like actual pictures because it's not a real animal, but I've seen drawings of it that look really menacing, and also how massive it is.
The cat that I picture in my head is the one from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, that's what I kind of picture, but larger.
The cat is a huge and vicious feline that is said to lurk in the snowy countryside during the Christmas season, and is said to eat people who do not receive new clothing. Who do not receive new clothing before Christmas Eve.
Yeah. You got any new clothing for me?
I do. It's in my car. In other versions of the story, the
I did not expect that answer.
the cat only eats the food of the people who had not received new clothing. So it eats a food, not the actual people.
I feel like I heard somewhere sometimes it's just socks, though.
I don't know that I read that.
I think I heard that on a podcast. I can't tell how true it is because obviously I'm listening to somebody else do the research for me.
I mean, that's the same thing you're doing here.
Yep.
The Yule Cat was traditionally used as a threat and incentive for farm workers to finish processing the wool that's collected in the autumn before Christmas. Those who took part in the work were rewarded with new clothes, but those who did not would get nothing, and thus they would be prey for the Yule Cat. Yule Cat's closely associated, again, with other figures from Icelandic folklore, again, being considered the pet of the ogress Grulja and her sons, the Yule lads. The first definitive mention of the Yule Cat is from an 1862 collection of folklore by
That's
John
very
Arneson.
recent.
I know, compared to how old, like how far along in folklore Grulja has been and her sons. It was described as an evil beast that would either eat those who did not get new clothes for Christmas or eat their Christmas bit, which is an extra portion of food given to the residents of a farm. John gave no source for either of these stories, like either of these explanations, and so no one really knows where that came from outside of his memory or outside of his
Noggin.
creativity, I guess. Two theories have been proposed, though. One is that folklorist Arne Bjornsson emphasizes a footnote that John Arneson has where he uses the figure of speech, quote, to dress the cat. From this footnote, and the lack of any written sources about the Yule Cat prior to John's writings, Arne concluded that the phrase was the source from which John created the monster. In another theory, archaeologist Guðmundur Ólafsson connects the Yule Cat to various entities that in other European traditions would accompany St. Nicholas, so like Krampus. Guðmundur noted that sources for any kind of folklore and history are typically scarce, so the lack of written sources on the Yule Cat does not carry much significance. As we know, a lot of folkloric traditions are passed on verbally, not always passed on written.
And that is why we have issues determining what things in indigenous cultures of Native Americans are Bigfoot and not.
Yep. Oh, I didn't know that. But that makes sense.
There's a whole lot of things that people are like, well, this has to be a Sasquatch. This thing refers to a Sasquatch. This does too. But when you dig into it, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, Trey the Explainer has a really good video on it, how it's like a lot of these actually don't refer to a Sasquatch-like creature. One of them is a literal giant floating head. And like other places are like, the Native Americans had names for Sasquatch like this. No, that's just a giant floating head. That's just a weeping like mother who lost her child.
Oh, wow.
It's like, it's random things that they just try and use it to explain Sasquatch and like make it more real than what it is, which we'll cover that later this year on Sasquatch. I found a really great like somebody on the cryptozoology subreddit, in between me making a new nemesis on there, gave me a really good source on potentially why the Patterson Gimlin film is faked.
Oh.
And why Patty has boobs.
Interesting addition, I guess.
So that's like, seriously, like there's a reason why, because I don't know if you know anything about that, but like the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot is believed to be a female because she has tits. Or breasts.
Right.
But there's somebody actually like brought up on one of the Reddits why, if it was faked, why they put breast on it. There's an actual reason.
Oh, well, we can probably go over that in your actual episode.
Yep. Sorry, that's just my little side tangent. I wanted to say something about that
okay.
and also mention the fact that I have a new nemesis on the cryptozoology subreddit. I'm Mr. Ape 1. I do not like you.
Yeah, Frank and this guy are beefing.
Yes, a lot. And like 2 different what's called posts, we were beefing. He's on my list, like whole negotiation, I think like 1348. Those 2 are my 2 nemesises on there. Whole negotiation runs true cryptozoology, the dumbest subreddit out there, and then Mr. Ape 1 is just annoying. I have nemesi on the subreddit, and I've mentioned this podcast on the subreddit, and if you are hearing this from there and you are one of them, then you are my nemesis, I guess. You don't know who I am on there, but I do not like you.
But still support
actually, no, you know who I am because I put it on my fucking thing. I mention it, so you could easily track who I am on there.
Still support us anyway. So to finish out the Yule Cat here, in 1932, Johannes Kotlum published his poetry collection, Jolinghoma, or Christmas is Coming. And one of the poems, the Yule Cat, centered on the man-eating monster, which subsequently became a common part of Christmas festivities and decorations in Iceland. And Yule Cat is the Icelandic name for Yule Cat. So I guess earlier I decided I wasn't going to pronounce it, and then later in it, I just did it anyway.
Yep. Hey, you didn't stay committed to the bit. Don't respect that as much, but hey, I respect the fact you finally said the actual name.
I don't know if I did say the actual name, that's the problem, but I must have been probably very tired when I was writing this last night.
Fair enough. We stayed up very late to write this. Hey, I got a lot done on my episode. Mine's almost done.
Good. While the poem did not associate the Yule Cat with Grilla, her husband, the Lepoli, or the Yule lads, the characters were also featured in the same collection. This commonality led to their connections in later stories, so that's like why they ended up becoming connected. By the middle of the 20th century, the Yule Cat was considered the pet of Grilla and her sons, and in some later stories, the Yule Cat is so disobedient that only Stufur, the smallest Yule lad, is able to direct it.
What's his name?
I think it's Stufur. It's Stufur. It's the U with
FU2.
The first U is the one with the little apostrophe on top of it, so I don't know how that's pronounced.
Oh, the apostrophe, not the umlau?
No.
I only know what umlau is because it's funny, and that's the 2 dots.
Yeah. And he rides the cat across the countryside. So he's the smallest, but he's the only one that can control it. Yo,
good job, Stufur.
Yeah.
What a G.
In 2008, the English language online newspaper, the Reykjavik Grapevine published an article about the Yule Cat, which is generally considered partially responsible for the Yule Cat gaining its international recognition rather than just being an Icelandic folklore. The story of the Yule Cat was repeated and expanded upon in various other articles over the last almost 20 years at this point, but 18. In 2018, the city of Reykjavik set up a 5-meter or 16-foot tall iron sculpture of the Yule Cat as a Christmas decoration in the city's central square. And then I wrote, though I don't believe it is as double-cheeked up as Mothman.
Yo, Mothman is double-cheeked up on an every day of the week.
Yeah. I didn't actually look at a picture, though, so it's entirely possible that it is.
I'm trying to look it up. Oh, wait, where is it from?
It's in Reykjavik.
Yeah, I don't know. Here it is. Looks like it lights up.
Oh, yeah, definitely not double checked.
That's so cool, though.
That is so neat. Yeah, that is neat. Everybody should go look that up. That's really neat.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of like metal wire and has lights in it for night, which looks so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, in like Iceland too, there's a lot of time where they
As
spend
a
in
collar
darkness,
with
isn't
the
there?
name, what? Sorry, say again.
And isn't in Iceland there is time where they spend in total darkness?
Almost total darkness, I think. I don't know if they
Or
get
at
the
least I
full
know some of
24.
it.
I'm pretty sure, like, today, because it's the solstice, we're approaching almost 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because it is the shortest day of the year.
The
But
days will be longer from here. The
look
light will
at
be longer.
it has a collar with the name of a city on it.
Oh, Reykjavik.
Yeah, that's so
However
cool.
you say it. So the next folkloric creature I'm going to talk about is one that I actually knew more about
This
prior.
is the picture I always think of when I see her, the Yule Cat.
Nice. The one I actually knew something about just because of where we live. So everyone will have to bear with me because this one has 10,000 names, 10,000 references. So we have Belsnickel, Belsnickel with L-E at the end, Belsnickel, spelled nickel like the coin, Pelsnickel without the C, so it's Nikel, Pelsnickel, spelled like the coin, and Belsniggle.
I don't know which one I like the best.
Belsniggle's cute. It's a German urban legend that's often given a bad reputation due to his intimidating features, but in reality, most believe that he is actually one of the nicer folkloric characters that centers around the Christmas time, as compared to the ones I talked about earlier, and also the one that I'll talk about next. He's described as a, quote, crotchety, fur-clad Christmas gift-bringer. I don't know what crotchety means. Is it crotchety or is it crochet-ty?
It's definitely crotchety.
Okay.
Crochet-y.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
It sounds too wrong to be a word.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but whatever. He is typically depicted as very ragged and disheveled and wears torn, tattered, dirty clothes. He's ingrained within the folklore of the Palatinate region of southwestern Germany along the Rhine, Saarland, and the Odenwald area of Baden-Württemberg. Belsnickel is related to other companions of St. Nicholas in the folklore of German-speaking Europe, and may have been based on an older German myth, Knecht Ruprecht, who was a servant of St. Nicholas and from northern Germany. Unlike other companions of St. Nicholas, Belsnickel visits children alone instead of with St. Nicholas. He combines both the threatening and the benign aspects, which in other traditions or folklore are split between St. Nicholas himself and the companion figure. His nice side is that he carries in his pockets cakes, candies, and nuts for all the good children.
So he's carrying nuts for kids. Put him on the Epstein list too.
Oh my god. Everybody needs to take a shot for every time that Frank mentions Epstein. It can be a shot of coffee, I don't really care, or water. But either way, at the end of it, you're either going to be really hydrated or you're going to be drunk.
We have, I've now deemed 3 different Christmas figures as being on the Epstein list, most likely.
Similar to the other companions who are there to punish naughty children, Belsnickel is also there for that. If the children are naughty, they don't get those cakes, candies, and nuts. He carries a signature switch, which I'm guessing is a type of whip, and whips the children who he deems as naughty. Lots of whipping, which is concerning.
I mean, fuck, the jokes really write themselves tonight.
Yeah. What's great about Belsnickel is that this is one of the legends that I've actually heard about organically prior to getting interested.
Well, he said organically.
Yeah. Prior to...
Is that how you, like, get your food organically?
No, it just means that I wasn't looking it up.
I get it. Well, you probably knew about Krampus organically first.
Probably, but this one I've probably known a lot longer than I've known of Krampus.
Fair enough.
The reason I know about it is because he's preserved in the Pennsylvania Dutch communities, which exist pretty close to where we are from. I grew up learning some Pennsylvania Dutch traditions, namely the eating of Fosnot donuts.
Oh, yeah, that's big here. Even if you're part of Pennsylvania Dutch or not, holy shit, the one guy at my work, and if you're hearing this, you know who you are. Holy fuck, the amount he downs every fucking Mardi Gras.
Yeah, so when I was in my master's degree for college, I ended up, like, I think I brought them for people because there were people in my class who had no idea what a Fosnot was. And I just assumed that it was across the entire United States. It's not. It's in Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah, sometimes I forget that it's a Pennsylvania Dutch thing. Yeah. But it's so, like, you don't have to be Pennsylvania Dutch to be part of it.
No,
here.
they sell them everywhere.
Yeah, for here, it's all, like, South Central PA. All of you have it together.
Yeah. I fear that people may not know what these are, and so I'm going to tell you what they are. Fosnots are potato donuts that are either plain, coated in granulated sugar, coated in glaze, powdered sugar, or cinnamon sugar, which personally is my favorite one. I love cinnamon sugar things. If I recall correctly, Fosnot basically means the fasting night, and it's the day and like night that goes in to Ash Wednesday, and so it's the night of Mardi Gras. So you were right. It's
Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's also called Fat Tuesday.
It's the day before I realized, fuck, I can't have something for a while, and I always forget. What, last year I think it was ice cream or chocolate. I forget.
Last year I think it was ice cream.
It fucking sucks every year, but you know, I do it for the religion.
So what Frank's talking about, if you're not familiar with like Christian or Catholicism, and is it Catholic or Christian?
Catholicism. I don't think others do it.
It's the fasting season of Lent. Begins on Ash Wednesday, and so a lot of times people will give up something for Lent, whether that's, you know, an actual food that they'll give up or something that they do that they think is like. There's a variety of things that you could do. I knew
someone who gave up hot showers once.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know. They survived. I don't know. I think she's still crazy for doing that.
Yeah, that's nasty. And then I guess Fridays you can't have regular meat. You can only eat seafood or
fish is based. Yeah, you can't have regular meat like your chicken, pork, cow, other things like it, deer, kangaroo.
Sure. And what's also interesting about Fosnots is that the donuts are made of the potatoes and other rich ingredients like lard, sugar, and butter, so that they get completely used up before the fast happens. That's what it used to be. Like I mentioned earlier, Belschnickel originated in the Palatinate region, and when people immigrated to Pennsylvania, they brought those German traditions with them, including their donuts. This was documented as early as the early 1800s, and amongst the Pennsylvania Germans, Belschnickel is the character who visits homes prior to Christmas to check up on the behavior of the children. The traditional Belschnickel showed up at houses 1 to 2 weeks before Christmas and, quote, often created fright because he always knew exactly which of the children misbehaved. He would rap on the door or window with his stick, and often the children would have to answer a question for him or sing some type of song. In exchange, he would toss candies onto the floor, and if the children jumped too quickly for the treats, then they might end up getting struck with Belschnickel's switch. So he would punish them for being too greedy for the candy.
Damn. We are just all punishments today.
Yep.
Maybe we shouldn't shoot down Santa Claus if he doesn't punish. Oh my
gosh. Throwback.
It's always relevant.
Sure. There are two versions of Belschnickel, the rural and the urban characters. Both are described in the book Christmas in Pennsylvania, a folk cultural study by Alfred L. Shoemaker and Don Yoder. The tradition fell into decline toward the end of the 19th century, but it has seen a revival in recent years.
Did The Office help with that?
Probably. In 1853, a British magazine wrote about Pennsylvania customs, and it refers to Belschnickel, or Nicholas with the fur. And then I wrote in parentheses, boots with the fur. This is why we're married. Look.
Oh my god.
You can literally see I wrote boots with the fur.
When you said that, my eyes went wide, and then you said then I heard what you're saying. I'm like, oh, she's gonna say it too.
Yes. Alluding to the dress skins in which Belschnickel is said to be wearing.
How did those boots with the fur look on him? Was the whole club looking at him?
Probably. Also, I'm not sure why a British magazine was writing about Pennsylvania customs, but I guess good for them. Also, did magazines exist then, or were they newspapers?
What year are we talking?
1853. The source I said magazine. Now I'm thinking it's newspaper. Either way. The PA Dutch version often is equated with Krish Kinkle, though the more general opinion is that they're two different people.
Kinkle?
Hold on. One who rewards the good kids, so that's Krish Kinkle, and the other who is the punisher of the naughty children, and that's Belsnickel. According to the article, Pelsnickel merely leaves a birch rod in the stockings of naughty children.
God, what? Just birch rod?
Yep. What is funny is that it's Krish Kinkle, and like we've referred to it around here as Krish Kringle, and that's another term for Santa, isn't it?
Krish Kringle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we get Krish Kringle from Krish Kinkle?
I don't know. Maybe because we preferred Chris Pringle. Kringle rhymes with Pringle, and maybe we're just a Pringles loving people.
Sure. Not only was Belsnickel brought to Pennsylvania, but he was also brought to Indiana by immigrants from Palatinate as well.
You know what else was brought to Indiana?
What?
Zach Baggins, because of the Demon House.
True. His dress varies from one locality to another. He might wear a long black or brown coat or robe, held together at the waist with a rope, and a fur cap or bearskin hat, decorated with bells. Again, the bells. In this tradition, the father or other older male relative who was in the home would be busy, quote, working outside, or had to see to some matter elsewhere in the house when Pelsnickel or Belsnickel arrived. It was part of the ritual that the male figure would be out of sight to allow the Belsnickel to focus on the children's behavior, and it keeps the attention on the children and their interactions with the stern visitor rather than having a father try to step in. That's fucked up, but whatever. Allegheny County, Maryland, also has its own account of the Belsnickel tradition. And yes, I wrote this out. It is Allegheny, not Allegheny, like it is in PA. They're spelled differently.
Okay, that's why I was going to say something, but I'm like, I don't know if I should, and then you actually...
So Allegheny County is Allegany. Allegheny has the H.
Okay, so there's no H in this.
No.
Oh my god, if I saw that would look so weird to me.
It does look really weird.
Let me see it in your notes. I hate that.
But yes, no, if you're from Pennsylvania, you know it's pronounced Allegheny. That's how we pronounce it. A first-hand 19th century account of this tradition can be found in Brown's Miscellaneous Writings, a collection of essays by Jacob Brown. When he was a child, he was born in the 1800s. When he was a child around 1830, Brown says, quote, "We did not hear of Santa Claus, and instead the tradition called for a visit by a different character altogether, which is where the version of Belsnickel comes into play." There, Belsnickel was known as Krish Kinkle, or the Christmas woman, which I will explain in a minute why.
Christmas woman.
Yes, I'll explain why it's woman, not man for this.
Is it because it's, whoa, man, you're Krish Kinkle?
No. He would arrive after dark, thoroughly disguised, especially in the face, where he would sometimes be covered in what is called a hideously ugly phiz, so Phiz, which I guess means face, which would often be female in description, hence the name Christian woman. So the ugly face would be the face of like a ugly woman. It could also be a veritable woman, but with masculine force and action, therefore again being called a Christmas woman. Same as the traditional Belsnickel, the figure would have an ample sack thrown over his shoulders filled with cakes, nuts, fruits, and candies for the children who were good. The naughty children would not only see the mysterious visitor, but they would feel on their backs as he hit them with his very long hazel switch, which allegedly has some kind of charm on it as well as the sting on the end to add additional pain. One of his hands would throw a handful of candy onto the floor, and the children would very excitedly reach for the candies. Those who were overly excited and too quick to grab them would be beaten with the switch by the figure's other hand.
Okay, so similar to what we talked about earlier.
Well, that was another version of Belsnickel.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
this is the Indiana version.
There's so many different ones.
I know. Apparently the children who were whipped would not show a wince, but if the same had been done by their parents as parental discipline,
discipline.
There would
You're
have
going to
been...
get disciplined.
Did you hear my long pause after that?
Yes. You just wait for a moment, did I really just say that? Yep. Yes, you did.
Done by their parents as parental discipline.
Don't edit out that pause. I know we've edited out so many pauses, but
okay.
You have to keep that one.
Okay. There would have been, quote, screams to reach a long distance. What do you interpret that as meaning, Frank?
I don't know. I don't even know where the fuck this came from. I just thought of the term screams for the scream jar. What that means, no idea. Just came to my head.
Okay.
I
Sure.
don't know where that came from, but that's the only thing I can think of now in my head. It doesn't even come from anywhere.
So, Belschnickel is seen in popular culture in a lot of different ways. Belschnickeling, or Klaustentrieben, is the running of groups of young men or youth dressed in false faces and fantastic costumes on Belschnickel night, which is the eve of the feast of St. Nicholas. So December 5th. And is often equated with good-natured boisterousness. Young men dressed in skins and furs would move through the streets of town or the village, rattling chains and bells. The tradition also exists in parts of Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and some communities in the Brazilian state of Santa Catarina.
Okay,
Germans,
we're going to Brazil, I guess.
Well, like, there were some Germans that emigrated to Brazil, as well as Argentina.
Oh, I wonder why there's some Germans in Argentina. Just a quick interjection here. Atlas decided to bark during it, and we got up to deal with him, and when we sat back down, somebody has taken my spot on the couch, so I've had to readjust where I sit.
What are you going to call him today for that?
He's giving me the cute eyes right now, so I'm just going to call him Baby Boy Atlas.
He is Baby Boy Atlas.
I might have called him more colorful language yesterday, because he kept on stealing my spot. He's like, Frank, Dad, get up here, get up here, get up here. Look what's out here. And I go, and he's like, runs back real quick and takes my spot. I'm like, no, you don't just do that.
Yeah. So back to Belschnickel. Writer to the letters column of the Times so this is the popular culture stuff. A writer to the letters column of the Times refers to an illustration of Pell's Nickel in a book by English author Harriet Myrtle, The Little Sister, 1851. German illustrator H.J. Schneider depicts him in a long cloak, pointed hood, fur around his neck with a long white beard and a big bag. So that's other depictions across, Germany, United States. Stoud's Brewing Company of Adamstown, Pennsylvania, brews a seasonal dark lager called the Belschnickel. Otto's Pub and Brewery of State College, Pennsylvania, brews a Belschnickel ale. The antagonist of the 1941 John R. Neal book, The Scalawagons of Oz, the 35th entry in the Oz series created by L. Frank Baum.
What number's entry?
This is 35.
Entries into the Oz? Like
the Oz universe. Wizard of Oz.
What the fuck?
Is a mysterious monstrosity called Belschnickel. It first appears as a large bluish-green object, flat as a buckwheat cake, and rolling along on its edge like a cartwheel. The creature does have arms and legs, as well as facial features, and it wears bells on its ears, explaining at least one portion of its name. The creature has egotism and the petulance of a spoiled child. So, meaning that it's basically a children's version of narcissism, but that's kind of honestly common in some children, so. In 2000, author Chet Williamson published Pennsylvania Dutch Night Before Christmas, a children's picture book that includes Belschnickel in a Pennsylvania Dutch version of The Night Before Christmas. In Dwight Christmas, a season 9 episode of The Office, Dwight Schrute dresses as Belschnickel and spends a significant portion of the episode deciding if his coworkers were, quote, impish or admirable at the company Christmas party.
I remember Jim was impish, and he got beat. That's why I know like the bundle of branches looks like, and to get hit by it, as I remember that episode. It looks really fucking painful.
Yeah. In the 2020 Netflix film, The Christmas Chronicles 2, they feature Belschnickel, played by actor Julian Dennison, as the movie's main antagonist, and his goal in the movie is to destroy Christmas. That is what we have for Belschnickel. So the last one I'm going to talk about is the one that Frank's been mentioning to me as I've been doing this research, and that is Frau Perchta.
And if you are a fan of the No Sleep podcast, then you'll probably know it from Goat Valley Campground, also known as in the book, I believe it's How to Survive Camping. I'd love to get that book, actually. I don't think I've ever told you that. Oh. But that is a book I'd love to get. But yeah, she's in that. And I'll let Sage tell you about her, because that is different than what it really is.
So, Frau Perchta is our next folkloric legend. She reigns from Upper Germany and Austrian and Slovenian regions of the Alps. She is also known as Berchta, and also commonly known as Perched. So, I did mention her a little bit earlier when I was talking about Aurelia. This is like kind of a common counterpart. She was thought to be a goddess in Alpine paganism and thought to have stemmed from the same Germanic goddess as Holda and other female figures of Germanic folklore. Her name may mean the bright one or the bearer, or Barat or Baret, which is Beraht or Bereht, from Old High German, which is likely related to the name Berchtentag, meaning the Feast of the Epiphany. Eugene Molk, a German academic specializing in Old Norse literature and Germanic mythology, offers his own explanation of the etymology of her name. He attributes the origin of the name Perchta to the Old High German verb pergen, meaning hidden or covered. The exact origin of the name or her time when she became known is also unknown. But according to Jacob Grimm, who is one of the editors, like I think he's related to the Grimm brothers who wrote Grimm's fairy tales, and he edited it. I don't think he was a brother, but I can't remember. I just know he's related in some type of way to the Grimm fairy tales. He thought that her name could be Paratta or Berchte as the main name, so and then followed by Perchta, as spoken of the Old High German in the 10th century, as Frau Berchta, and thought to be a white-robed goddess who oversaw spinning and weaving, similar to the myths of Holda. He believed she was the feminine equivalent of Berchtold, and was sometimes the leader of the wild hunt in place of Berchtold. However, John B. Smith disagrees, it's another guy, and suggests that Perchta represents the personification of the Feast of the Epiphany, Perchta's Day, and is therefore not pre-Christian. It was rather during the Christian era. In Baden, Swabia, Switzerland, and Slovenian regions, she was often called Frau Faust, the Lady of the Ember Days, or Peta, or Kavaternica in Slovene. Elsewhere, she was known as Posterli, Quantenberka, and Fronfastenweber. Really pulling out the stops here.
There's some words.
It gets worse. Not that it's worse, that they're beautiful languages, I'm sure, if you actually know how to say them. It's worse for me in terms of pronunciation. Other regional variations of the name include Bergl, Birchlum-Mwada, Hertababa, Zlobna Peta, Bektrababa, Sampa Stampa, Lutzel, Zamperin, Pudelfrau, Zampermada.
Pudelfrau?
It's Pudelfrau.
Poodle, like Atlas.
Pudel.
I know, I'm just...
Zampermawada and Rawib. In some descriptions, she has two forms. She may either appear as beautiful and white goddess, and as white as snow like her name, or she's elderly and haggard. Her elderly and haggard version is often described as having one large foot.
Sounds like my wife.
Thanks. Described as having one large foot, sometimes called a goose foot or a swan foot. This may have symbolized her being a higher being which could shapeshift to animal form. This may have symbolized her being a higher being who could shapeshift to an animal form, and it could symbolize that she's unable to leave her higher nature aside. And at the same time, the spinning woman's blade foot that worked the treadle, which is part of, like, it's the pedal for the loom machine. This was because she was thought to be the upholder of cultural taboos, such as the prohibition against spinning the loom on holidays. Bertha was a strange foot exists in many languages. In Middle German, it's Bertha mit dem Fuß. French is Bertha al grand pied. Latin is Bertha cum magno pede. And Italian is Bertha de gran pied. Sorry for the pronunciations. In Tyrol, a historic alpine region now split between the Austrian federal state of Tyrol and the Italian autonomous province of South Tyrol, she appears as a little old woman with a very wrinkled face, bright, lively eyes, and a long hooked nose. Her hair is disheveled and her clothing is tattered and torn. In the folklore of Bavaria and Austria, Perchta was said to roam the countryside in midwinter and to enter homes during the 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany, especially on the 12th night. She would know whether the children and young servants of the household had behaved well and worked hard all year. If they had, they might find a small silver coin the next day in a shoe or a pail. She was particularly concerned to see that the girls had spun all of the flax or wool that they had been given to spin during the year, and if the children or servants were poorly behaved throughout the year, this would mean that the homes were dirty. they were working on 12 Days of Christmas or the kids were naughty, that is how she would know that they were naughty in general. She would slit their bellies with a large knife and then remove their stomach and guts and then stuff the incision in their stomach cavity with straw and pebbles.
Yep, I'm familiar with that part.
Yep, she would also do that same ritual of slitting the bellies and stuffing them with straw and pebbles if they ate something other than the traditional meal of fish and gruel on the night of her feast during the 12 Days of Christmas. I also read in one of the sources that she would also stuff them with, like, actual stones instead of just, like, small pebbles. As Frank put it yesterday, she made people into scarecrows, which is a really fucked up way of saying it, but it does give you the visual that is necessary to understand what she does.
So I'm just going to mention now, this is kind of pop culture thing, but if anyone listens to No Sleep Podcast, you'll know that How to Survive Camping by Bonnie Quinn, which is also known as Goat Valley Campground, season 1 of it, Frau Perchta does appear in it, and she does kill a individual and stuffs him like a scarecrow, and they chase down the main character at one point, Kate. That's where I'm familiar with it. And Sage, if you're ever looking for a book to get me, there is the How to Survive Camping series by Bonnie Quinn, which are books I would love to read. I probably already heard the stories, but I'd love to actually read the books. It looks like The Beast is only on Kindle, which sucks. I would love to have a paperback. They got The Man with No Shadow and The Horse Eater.
Wow.
The Lady in Chains comes out later this year, which I'm looking forward to that, which I assume will hit No Sleep Podcast next year or something.
So while Frank says she makes people into scarecrows, this action gives her the nickname of the Belly Slitter, which is not very original, but it is definitely accurate and gets the point across. Just a few, like, interesting things about this, too. The cult of Perchta, under which followers left food and drink for Frau Percht and her followers in the hope of receiving wealth and abundance, was condemned in Bavaria in the Thesaurus Pauperum, which was 1468, and by Thomas Ebendorfer von
What type of dinosaur?
Hazelbach
Thesaurus.
in De Decem Preceptus, which was in 1439.
Oh, that's actually quite a while ago. Well, that's older than most of the other things we've talked about.
Condemned. The cult was condemned.
Yeah, so like Frau Perchta, when did she first was mentioned?
Like, she predates, in some people's eyes, she predates Christianism.
That's insane.
Some say that she does not.
So this is probably the oldest of all the ones we've talked about tonight.
I think so. The mother of the Franks emperor Charlemagne may have had a related, albeit unwitted, influence, as did the Visigoth queen Brunhilde on her own, into its medieval folklore. Bertha or Berthrada was said to be of long and wide feet, in effect taller than her husband, taller than her husband, who was called Pippin the Short, and may have been the reason why Charlemagne inherited from her his unusual height. But they basically were, because of the way that they looked, sometimes got described as, like, into their own medieval folklore under a similar name. Later canonical and church documents characterize Perchta as synonymous with other leading female spirits: Holda, Diana, Herodias, Richella, and Abundia. And Perchta is also the queen of Heimchen, which is the German folklore house crickets that are one of the animal appearances that dwarfs can take, which is very cute. Sometimes der Teufel, which is German for the Satan or the demon, is viewed as the most Schiach or ugly perched, and Frau Perchta as the most schön or beautiful perchten. So in this case, a version of her is often seen as the devil, the other version of her is seen as the beautiful. Just as with some of the other ones, and this is what I'll finish up on, in the Pongau region of Austria, large processions of Schönperchten or beautiful Perchten and Schiachperchten or ugly Perchten are held every winter. Beautiful masks are said to encourage financial windfalls, and the ugly masks are worn to drive away the evil spirits. Those are the ones I will talk about for today. There's plenty of other Christmas and or winter season related creatures from folklore, things like that. I'm sure that there's sightings of cryptids during this time of year too.
It's not during Christmas, I think, but I do have one for next year I'm going to go over because you guys voted. I listened to the people.
We plan to do the podcast for a while, so we'll need some concepts for later.
I know Sage had some other ones to go over, but I know we're going a bit longer here. I know we still have more to talk about here for conclusion and everything, so this is going to be on the longer side of episodes, especially after last week's didn't break an hour. My bad, guys. That's on me.
It's a Christmas season.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, you got more than enough to do a part 2 episode next year. You got like the Lucy, the Yule Lads, La Befana. I'm surprised you didn't have the Mary Lude in here, actually.
All of those are on my list where I was going to briefly go through them. So those ones will be the ones that you'll see next year.
Because I'm surprised Mary Lude wasn't in your top ones you did, because I've listened to so many different podcasts that talk about Christmas folklore. The Mary Lude's typically in like the top 3 big ones that people do. It's typically like Krampus, Grilla, and Mary Lude.
I picked Belschnickel because of its connection to where
To
we're
here,
at.
yeah. And I think that's where you made the trade-off between Belschnickel and Mary Lude. That would have been next.
And then the Yule Cat is Grillia's pet.
Yeah, I hear a lot of Yule Cat too.
So it could have been like in connection to her rather than its own thing, but whatever.
Also, next year you can include the 2 probably, I'd say, most famous Christmas folklore, Santa Claus and Jack Frost.
He was also on my list
Jack
of things
Frost
that I would have said something about.
I'm pretty sure you have enough in that list. If you actually went through the whole thing for all your remaining ones, you probably could make this 2-3 hours almost.
Well, I mean, there's so many, and that's honestly only the list of the popular ones. And I want to say too, obviously I didn't do the in-depth research within the writings of each individual culture. This is what I was able to find on the internet. So it's entirely possible I've either misspoken, said something wrong. I definitely pronounced the names wrong. Or that I, missed information that would be important. If there's something that I missed or whatever, write a comment, let me know. I'm happy to learn more from you guys as well.
Let us know, guys, because I think this is actually the perfect way to do it, Sage, because next year, obviously, we used some of the most popular Christmas ones this year. We probably did the 2 most popular Christmas episodes out there, because if I've noticed podcasts in our realm, almost everybody does a Christmas folklore episode. They typically do 1 or 2, most often 1, but I think we can get another one next year, and we did the Solder Children. And my God, I see so many posts of the Solder Children about this year from other podcasts, and then I looked at some other ones. They did it last year. Everybody does the Solder Children in December.
Yeah.
But I know at least next year, we have this one we can do. I know 1 UFO incident, and I have a cryptid that is not actually from the what's it called? I don't think it's seen around the Christmas time, but it's a Partridge Creek monster, which partridge in a pear tree, and it's during the snowy time.
Ooh.
So I'm looking forward to that one next year.
Awesome. All right, you want to sign us out?
If you enjoy what you're listening to, go check us out on our socials, our Instagram, our Blue Sky that I do not use, our TikTok, which I did post to yesterday. Woo, go me! And any of our other socials, which it should just be those. And go follow them, give us comments, and whatever. Follows, every little bit helps on those. And if you're liking what you're listening to, this is what I suggest most of all. Give us a comment, review, subscribe, follow, rate, whatever platform you're on. Every little bit helps us get boosted in the algorithm. I mean, you guys have no idea how podcast viewership works mostly, or listenership, but a lot of we are in, I think, the top 5 or 10% of podcasts because of our listenership, and it's a small listenership. There's so many podcasts out there that have less than us. We are in the higher echelons, despite it probably being a lot less. So give us that. That's what you should give us for Christmas, guys. That is what you should do. Give us the Christmas gift of a 5-star review.
Definitely. Or else. I'm just kidding.
Or else I will send Belschnickel on you, and he will deem you impish. But yeah, that's about all I said. Sorry I rambled on here at the end. So I'm thinking it's time for the sign-off. Actually, you know what? We didn't really do a conclusion discussion on all those things. I would have loved to rank them on interestingness, but
let's just do it next time.
And remember,
to look for
the unknown,
the unsung,
and the unseen.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys. Merry Christmas.
Don't forget to be good, otherwise Grilla, Belschnickel, Krampus, the Yule Cat,
Frau Perchta,
will come for you and do mean things.
and a bunch of others we didn't mention too. The whole army's going to be on you. The anti-Christmas army.
And eat your Fosnots on Fast Tuesday.
Yeah. Be good for goodness sake.
Bye.
And don't shoot down Santa Claus.